Hi everybody, welcome to another look at one of my collections. This one is actually complete in my terms. I have all the games that I want to have physically for the console. There are lots of other games that I've played on the system in the past, but I have finally every game that I physically want to have on the system that I know I'll play again in the future. So my collection of what I want to play on this system is complete. Lots of other good stuff on it, but can't play everything over and over with all these tons of systems. Today we're talking about the original Xbox, this huge beast of a console here. It's basically a PC tower there, and started the transition of video game consoles into the modern console we have today, which are basically just PCs slash entertainment centers. This was kind of the beginning of that, and PS2 had the DVD player in it, and this was a Windows computer basically. And it's an odd one for me because it is not a type of system that I was super excited for. I grew up more of a Mac person. I played a lot of DOS and early Windows games, but it really wasn't until the early 2000s that we had an up-to-date PC. It was more, we had a Mac for the longest time, two variations of Macs over the years, so I grew up playing a lot of Mac games and wasn't a big Microsoft person. I also was not a fan, I've never been a fan of the general vibe of the whole Xbox ecosystem. It has to do with marketing. It has to do with a lot of perception, and rather than people that play Xbox games. I always never understand that fanboyism when people are like, no, I'm only Nintendo or Sony or Xbox, and the other people are crazy, idiots. I never have understood that. It's just the general vibe of the Xbox, especially with the original, I was just not quite into. There was one thing that I really did enjoy about the original Xbox, and that was the support of Sega. A lot of Sega games, 3 or 4 times the number that I own today that I would replay over the years, but I just remember playing a lot of Sega games coming off the Dreamcast on the original Xbox those first few years of the system. So the Xbox came out, and again, I said I wasn't super excited for it, but the reason I ended up getting one is Shenmue II. I live in North America, so we did not get Shenmue II on the Dreamcast. I pretty much couldn't find Dreamcast stuff at all a year or so after it went out, so it was the option for me to get Shenmue 2 and be able to experience that was the Xbox, and that was the number one reason why I got the console. That, and a lot of my friends had one, and we were playing a lot of Halo, so I wanted to pick up a copy for myself, and I actually do really enjoy the first Halo. I think it's a fantastic game. I just have this, bizarre relationship with it because it also, the relationship with Microsoft then, with Bungie, pretty much brought an end to any of the other Bungie games that I grew up loving. I grew up playing a lot of Marathon, and of course, Myth the Fallen Lords and Myth 2 Soulblighter. I loved those games. 90s Bungie was amazing, but then after this game, they kind of turned into just the Halo company, and I really disliked that, but I did like the first Halo. I also have Halo 2, which I did not play anywhere near as much of. The first Halo we played a lot of when the Xbox was pretty new, and speaking of when the Xbox was new, I just wanted to mention this too. I'm one of those weird people that actually likes the now coined Duke controller. A lot of people hated it, but I don't know, I kind of like this big, chunky, heavy thing. I have very fat fingers, I guess, I don't know. But I've always liked it, and it felt a little bit like a Dreamcast controller. It was definitely different, but in many ways felt like it was modeled off that, like VMU would go there type of thing. Like, it felt close enough that it felt more at home in many ways, and I liked the feel of it over the years. But anyway, speaking of Sega, there were tons of great Sega games. I have a couple here in the collection. One of the best ones, though, and one that is an absolutely brilliant experience, Panzer Dragoon Orta, the last Panzer Dragoon game, the last true Panzer Dragoon game we ever got, and I would love to see this ported to something else. I would like to see this on the Switch. That would be amazing. As far as some of the Panzer Dragoon stuff, I think that would be an easy one to get people back into the series, and then 1 and 2 together. One of my other favorite series, that the first one was on the PS2 exclusively, 2 I played on a bunch of different systems, and 3, Time Splitters Future Perfect, I have on the PS2, and then also played a lot on the Xbox, played it on both systems because I played the heck out of Time Splitters. I also have Gun, Jet Set Radio Future, some more Sega action here. There were so many great Sega games. Tomb Raider Legend, which I have on a lot of different systems. Gun Valkyrie, which is an odd one. This is one of those that you can really tell it was supposed to be a Dreamcast game. There's something about the way it feels and controls, and yeah, it was the original Xbox. Again, I just never have been a huge fan of the design of the console or the real just the vibe, general vibe of it, but there was a lot of cool Sega stuff put on there. It was sort of the home to a lot of would-be Dreamcast games at first, and then of course Sega stuff went to everything. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this is actually a pretty fun exclusive Buffy game as far as stuff that's just based off a franchise. This is actually pretty decent. I enjoyed that. Legacy of Kain Defiance, Blood Omen 2, Alter Echo, a bunch of Dead or Alive stuff here. First, the Dead or Alive Ultimate Collection here. This is pretty cool. And this is, let me pull them out here, Dead or Alive 1, remastered and rebuilt for the original Xbox. I have the original Japan-only Sega Saturn copy of 1, and Dead or Alive 2, which of course I have on the Dreamcast and also on the PS2. That was a launch game for that system. Really cool to have this collection here. Pretty much just a cool like Dead or Alive collection. Dead or Alive 3. I absolutely love Dead or Alive 3. This was fantastic. And if you put this in and play this, it looks almost current. Like, I mean, it really, like, it pushing it like close, like through like just a really good video on a nice TV. This looks almost current. Like, this game, like, it's crazy how great that looks. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. This was just comical back in the day when that came out. We got it for a laugh, and then it was actually weirdly fun to play as a volleyball game. One that I wish was a little bit better, something that I wish had been fine-tuned a little bit more, and a sequel probably would have solved a lot of things and been a really cool game, but Azuric, Rise of the Parathea. This was a really fun adventure game, kind of, you could call it Zelda-esque. Doesn't really feel that familiar, but that's a term that I think will bring to mind a little bit about what the stylings of the game is. But yeah, this was actually a really fun, flawed experience that I wish had been more than just an early exclusive. That they made a big deal out of this, I remember, and it was supposed to be this huge thing to try and bring people to the original Xbox along with something like Halo. This was for more of the adventure game crowd, a lot of great fantasy elements, but it just didn't quite have the impact I think they wanted it to have. The only Star Wars game that I physically own. I've played Star Wars games in the past, but again, I've never been a massive Star Wars fan. I love the original trilogy, and I'm like, okay, I've seen the other Star Wars movies, and they're alright. Just never been huge in Star Wars video games, books, anything. We have some Star Wars books. Haven't even read all of them, but yeah, I'm just not a super Star Wars guy. I'm this guy, but yeah, I do like Star Wars, the original trilogy, and one thing that I really, really enjoyed was Knights of the Old Republic. This was fantastic. Again, other Star Wars games, pod racing games, Battlefront, some of the older Star Wars games, I've played and enjoyed, but they're not ones I would ever see myself replaying, ones I just kind of played over at friends' houses kind of things. This is one that was an exception, that I really loved that game. That was a great Star Wars themed RPG in an era that's not really covered a whole lot, I feel like, in video game form. One that I have on all three versions, PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, Soul Calibur 2, for the different character, and it's more than just like the one character, that's the main difference, but it's just kind of it's fun to have it on all those systems back then, so no matter who you're with and what system someone had, there was always a copy of this in whatever console we were playing at the time. It really was. This is still my favorite Elder Scrolls game. I know a lot of people love Skyrim, but for me, this is where it's at. The Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind. I have that. And the cover beat to heck. I wish I could find another cover or cheap copy of this, of my Game of the Year edition. Oh, it was destroyed, but I got it for super cheap because it was destroyed. But the manual and game were just absolutely perfect. There's zero wrong with it. It was just the cover. Annihilated. I have no idea what happened to it. First I thought it was water damage, but there's nothing wrong with the manual or anything. Like, it's just, I don't know what they did. But yeah, otherwise it's in perfect shape. So I'm like, eventually maybe I'll get a cover replacement. Beyond Good and Evil, great game. I'm a little bit more worried of what the sequel is going to be like the more we hear about it. It seems pretty exciting, but then it feels like it's going to be not quite the same type of game and much more focused on online play, which I'm not really into, but Beyond Good and Evil, great. Half-Life 2, really enjoyed this. I still prefer Half-Life, but Half-Life 2 is fantastic. And I've actually only ever played it on the original Xbox, because by the time this came out, I had pretty much stopped buying PC games. The last, as far as current PC game I ever purchased was The Frozen Throne for Warcraft 3. So it's been just consoles ever since then. And yeah, really enjoyed Half-Life 2. Great game. House of the Dead 3. For playing this overall on the Wii, but still it's great to have that here. And there wasn't a whole lot as far as light gun games and things like that, or on-rail shooters on the original Xbox. This was a real good one to have, and again, more Sega support. Genma Onimusha, an enhanced version of the PS2 game. I really enjoy this one. I know most people, I think, overall prefer the second one. The first one, for me, just there's something about it that I've always really enjoyed. I do want to pick that up physically for the Switch eventually, the Japanese copy with English support, but until then I have it on PS2 and the original Xbox. And the last game I have on the system is one that someday I'm going to do a full retrospective video on this. Not just a typical sit here and talk about it for 2 minutes review. I really want to do an in-depth thing someday. It's one of my big projects for the channel someday when I have time, kind of thing. But Advent Rising, there's so much interesting stuff around this game and its background and the repercussions of the mistakes that are made with it and the lost potential of this game. This is just the unfulfilled potential of this game. There are the bones of an amazing classic here. This is something that it could have had the effect that Mass Effect had the next generation back when this came out, were it not for so many issues, both within the game and surrounding the game. But yeah, I absolutely love this game more than I should. It's a game with a lot of problems, but it's one of those that I can just look past all the issues that it has, just because what is there is so enjoyable. Yeah, I absolutely love Advent Rising. Fantastic game that I really want to talk more in depth about someday. But yeah, that is my original Xbox collection. Back then, it was so cool that it was the one weird generation where by the time that generation started to end and 360 and everything came out, I had an original Xbox and GameCube, PS2, and a Dreamcast. I ended up having all of them that generation. It was a weird situation where I would be able to mine the systems fairly cheaply for some reason. Can't really do that and even games anymore. But yeah, the original Xbox, it had a lot of fun with. Again, I still am not a big fan of the design of the console, and I don't like where it took consoles to where they're just PC entertainment centers now. It's not like you can't just bring a console home, take it out, and 5 minutes later you're playing a game. Now it's the idea of constant patching and updates and installing games to the hard drive and just having to update when you just first even open the console, and a lot of that stuff that has been a part of PC gaming for such a long time. Why I gravitated more towards consoles, even though I grew up more with Mac and later PC, was just the ease of I plug it in, I put it in, and I'm playing. And I just preferred that, and consoles have moved away from that for the most part, and I think really the original Xbox is where that started. But the original Xbox does have some amazing games. Again, there are a whole bunch of other exclusives for the system that I remember playing that I don't have, that were fun kind of one-off experiences for me, and occasionally it would be, at least graphically, the best version of a multi-plat game might be on the original Xbox. I still would prefer the PS2 version just because I prefer the PS2 overall, and it's the biggest collection. But the original Xbox was an enjoyable console. It is weird though, because I think even though there's so many great games here, some exclusive Sega stuff and some other things like Advent Rising was just PC and Xbox, and enhanced versions of a game I really like with Onimusha. There are a lot of great games in the original Xbox, but I think without Shenmue II, I probably never would have owned one. So really I can thank Shenmue 2's existence on the original Xbox, even though I prefer it on Dreamcast now. I can thank its existence for why I even have this console and why I was able to have some of these great experiences that I did have with this small but I think fantastic collection of great games, and I really enjoy what I do have for this console.